There you go.
Hello. Can you see me?
Perfect. Yes, I can. Perfect.
Fantastic.
It's working actually.
Time.
Yes.
Today was a little bit of a disaster.
Yeah, but we were ready with a plan B, so that's really exciting.
Yeah. We're always got a plan B. That's good. Plan B
Exactly.
through F. Yeah.
That's exactly right. So it is 10 a.m. in Vietnam. Is that correct? Okay,
Yeah, so it's not too hot. We're in rainy season right now, so luckily it's not like, 110 degrees just yet.
Okay. Great. So, okay, that's wonderful. And yeah, and I'm very, very glad because it works perfectly. I mean, for me, I'm a little bit flexible. Well, I teach at the university, so aside from when I'm in class, my other time, whatever tasks I have, I can work them around.
What time is it where you are?
It is 7 p.m. right now.
Oh, okay, not bad. Okay, good.
Yeah, no, not at all. No, not at all. So it was actually perfect. Your early morning and me evening, and I could hear some chicken, and I cannot wait to visit them.
So Matthias is a special boy. He really wants to be the center of attention, and so whenever I'm talking on videos, if you ever watch any of my videos where I'm talking on Instagram, you'll hear him in the background because he has to be the louder voice. That's just who he is. That's him. Yeah.
That's great. I cannot wait. Cannot wait to meet him. So, Kat, well, we already have a few people joining us and dropping in. There will be usually more people will come as we go along. So, thank you so very much for making the time for this. I am actually really, really curious to learn more about your work, your journey, and the sanctuary. And to our listeners, and we usually have quite a few people listen to this in recording. So this is Catherine Besch. Am I pronouncing it correct? Besch.
Yep.
Besch. Catherine Besch. And Catherine is the founder of Vietnam Animal Aid and Rescue. And she will tell us in a moment about the exact location. And she's one of the partner sanctuaries of the Vegan Stay, soon to be changed into something different in the next. In fact, the announcement is going to come later. So
we're very excited about that too. We're waiting to hear.
Absolutely. It's gonna completely expand and in all kinds of directions, and we cannot wait. Because the first year it was really about just sort of testing, creating a little bit of brand awareness, creating affiliations with our grassroots partners that we really created the organization to support, and all of that. So now we are really ready to jump. So, Catherine, my first question always is, when did you become vegan, and not only how did you start the sanctuary? Vietnam. So
it's a bit of a strange story. So basically, like, before I was living in Vietnam, I was living in Mongolia, which you may know is cold.
Very cold.
It's very cold. I lived in Ulaanbaatar, and it's the coldest capital city in the world. And I really just had decided that I was just 100% going to be in flip-flops the next year. Like, that, no matter what happened in my life, I was going to be in Vietnam. Also, my parents lived in Vietnam. My dad was a Marine officer in the war. He was shot here. And then my parents came back as CIA. In 1971 to 73. So they were also big collectors of like Vietnamese furniture, Vietnamese art, Vietnamese ceramics, all of these things that they got while they were living here in Saigon. I'm not in Saigon, but they were in Saigon during the war. And so, like, I grew up around everything Vietnamese, and I thought, well, this is the time. I really wanted to go back and show my parents like what Vietnam had changed into in the 45 years or whatever since they had left. And so I thought this is the time. I was going to stay for 6 months. Okay. That was 11 years ago. So like, obviously I didn't do a very good job of staying for 6 months, but the moment I got here, I was kind of already on a journey, I think, towards veganism. I think in Mongolia, we have, so Mongolia has like 47 million livestock and only 2.3 million people. There's just tons of farmed animals out there. The country is the size of Western Europe with just hardly any people and just a ton of animals. And so like in my pre-vegan head, I thought this is the best way to raise animals. They're living happy lives, right? So they're out in the countryside and they just live this great life and whatever. And what actually changed me the thinking was that I was eating steak. We'd go to this German restaurant and have steak with cheese when we got paid. I was a teacher there, and it tasted horrible. It tasted like dirt. It was the worst beef I've ever had in my life. And I thought, why is this myth that I've been told that happy animals make great meat and everything, and this is what's supposed to happen? And so I started thinking about it, and I read The Omnivore's Dilemma by Michael Pollan. And that's actually, and he's not vegan, but his arguments in the Omnivore's Dilemma are incredibly vegan. The fact that he wrote that and didn't become vegan is a joke to me. But anyway, I basically learned how the animal agriculture industry worked, and not only it's predominantly centered on the United States, but like I learned a lot about having lived in I lived in Europe, I lived in Poland, and I lived in France and Holland and Mongolia at that point, and I kind of learned how different systems of agriculture were really destructive to animal rights and to the environment. And so it put me on this path. I met a lot of couch surfers while I was living in Mongolia, and a lot of them were vegan. And I had never met vegans before. I rode horses for a living. I was a fox hunter. I worked for the farmers lobby for the Turkey National Turkey Federation in Washington D.C. Like I was the enemy. Until I was 33, I was very much on the other side of this. And so as a result, you would never run into a vegan. Like, where would you meet one at a horse show? You're not going to see one, right? So I had no interaction with them until I really came to Vietnam, and there's a lot of Buddhists here, and the Buddhists are vegan. And so I met couch surfers, and then I had all this great, amazing vegan food in Vietnam, and I just slowly learned bit by bit about animal agriculture and about animal rights. And then I did kind of a vegan challenge one February, and in 2013, and that was it for me. I was like, why was I ever anything but vegan? And that was it. That was 10.5 years ago, February 2013. And a month after that is when I started the organization. I mean, and to be fair, like, I'm not recommending that to anybody. I don't recommend you go vegan and open an animal sanctuary in Vietnam. It's a dumb idea. But I just I'm just one of those people that makes impulsively bad decisions. And so I opened this animal rescue where we had very little resources, and, being a vegan and knowing no other vegans really in the community and kind of being the freaks, I had no idea how difficult it would make this work. So yeah, that's basically how it got started.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, that's very, very quick. And Indochina is very, very quick. It happened in 40 countries. So Mongolia, then going from Mongolia to Vietnam. Very, very different cultures, like you were describing. One is very cold and sort of mountainous, and very heavy on animal husbandry. The other one is kind of a tropical paradise, at least weather-wise. And then you make that evolution. But what prompted you exactly to run a sanctuary and to start one? Was it a particular animal that you wanted to care for?
So a particular animal, definitely. I've always been like this, where people just bring me animals. This has been my whole life. I mean, because I've worked with animals my whole life, and I used to manage stables, like really high-end horse stables and things like that, and I used to ride professionally, and so I've always had this connection to animals, where I was, I had like 27 animals living in my bedroom when I was in high school. Like, it's not like I've never collected animals. It just sort of, I kind of got to a point where I realized that I didn't have the finances to manage what this one particular dog case was going to be. And so I was like, I've got to start an organization so that we can get donations to manage this case, because it was really bad. She's actually at the vet right now. She's 10.5. She never got adopted, so she's my girl now. But she was in such horrible condition, and I was just basically like, F this, like, we've got to do something, because there just was so much, there were so many cases, and there wasn't anybody doing anything. There weren't other organizations within 700 kilometers. I mean, there was some smaller organizations in Hanoi and Saigon. The only foreign one was in Saigon, so they were really the only ones that had access to any basic decent veterinary care. The other ones were just using really horrible Vietnamese vets, and so like the standards of care were really, really low. But yeah, we were the only ones within, you know, basically when we started the organization, we couldn't buy dog food in the town. We had to drive 45 minutes to buy dog food. We couldn't buy dog collars. You couldn't buy like any basic supplies. We had to order everything from abroad. We still order half of our stuff from the United States and Europe. Any sort of special supplements, anything like that. We just don't have access to it. Things have changed a lot. I'll admit things have gotten a lot better. We're finally able to have vegan dog food, which is mind-blowing compared to what it was 10 years ago. Not being able to buy dog collars to having vegan dog food in a decade is actually like an incredible change for this country. But yeah, I can't buy joint supplements for large animals, which we need for our pigs and things like just kind of basic stuff. So yeah, it's been, I guess the thing is, because I had so much animal experience, that's what kind of led me into doing it. I thought I was qualified, but what I didn't understand was that not only is running an organization taking care of animals, but it's human resource management, fundraising, media, marketing, accounting, bookkeeping, you know, all of these things that are basic to any business that I didn't have any experience in. So I've had to learn everything on the job. Not only that, we were really the only ones doing it. Like I said, we were the only ones doing it. There was no, I didn't have any mentors in how to make this work. So it was very much like a, you know, university of life sort of situation. And doing so with the absolutely horrendous veterinary care that was available was horrible, which is why we had to open our own veterinary clinic, our own international standard clinic, 2.5 years in, and started having veterinary volunteers that were from abroad, because the local veterinarians just like, I mean, you can go through veterinary school in this country and never touch an animal. You can then be legally allowed to practice veterinary medicine. You don't have to know how to draw blood or neuter a cat, or even have basic vaccine protocols. So surgical, sedation, none of that. They don't have any real training. They're really, it's absolutely horrible. So that's why we had to open the clinic. That was hard because people don't want to pay for things like that. They don't think that it's necessary. So funding it was really difficult. And we ended up we lost the clinic after about 3 years, because we just couldn't get the money. Yeah.
So you don't have it anymore, the clinic?
No, we don't. There's an international clinic that opened in Da Nang, which unfortunately is a dog meat based sort of organization. So they get a ton more marketing than we ever will. They have a lot more support because they're basically like Boohoo for the dogs that make up 0.7% of the animals killed in this country, but they have barbecues at their fundraisers. So they unfortunately were able to, I mean, like, I'm glad they have the clinic. We're able to take our animals there, and they do have one international vet, but ultimately the organization itself is morally bankrupt, like most organizations that work with animals that are still eating them. And that has been one of our biggest challenges here, is that we're the only vegan organization. We're the only animal rescue that doesn't eat animals in Vietnam. Think about that for a second. Like, what's that about?
Absolutely. I could imagine the problem being a little bit more severe in countries like Vietnam, but even here in the United States, like, for example, dog and cat shelters.
Oh, all the time. Yep, barbecue fundraisers. Let's have a pig roast to save money, to get money for doggies. Yeah, that makes perfect sense, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. There is that profound dissonance where people are conditioned to think one way about farmed animals, another way about animals that are domesticated. Well, domesticated for companionship versus domesticated for exploitation and food. So before we talk about other things, I just would like to really emphasize one thing. So you said that you are impulse. So you took that decision out of impulse. Yeah. I mean, all big decisions in life, I mean, and particularly things out of our comfort zone, usually takes a little bit of impulsiveness. But the story you just shared speaks volumes to resilience, creativity, adaptability, and compassion. And I have to say something. You are I mean, you are, this is, I think I have talked to about 18 people so far, 18 sanctuaries from different countries so far. 100% of my guests have been women. There were times where it has been, if it's a couple, it's usually the woman running the show.
Yeah,
so I also want
that's true.
So.
The boys dig the holes and fix the fences, and the women run the show. Yeah, I know how it goes.
Exactly. I was talking to one of my guests, and I was telling her, this is the founder of a Promised Land in sanctuary in Ontario, in Canada. I told her we should probably start a website for dating of vegan founders, women, and handymen. So,
yeah, absolutely. If we could put those together, if I could just have a nice man that like will eat vegan food with me and fix my fencing, I'd be perfectly happy. That's like a marriage made in heaven. Yeah, I mean, like I used to actually. So the reason we had the vet clinic was because my fiance was the vet. So he was that actually worked out really well, except for it was just an unbelievably difficult relationship to have. Like, I mean, I think people don't understand that, like, you know, running this organization is not, it's basically like, you know, I equate my job. People think like when it's funny when I'm in the United States or in other countries like the UK or whatever in Europe, and I meet other people that work at animal rescues and we kind of complain about the same things, and I still look at them like, you have absolutely no idea how much harder it is to do our job here. Like, I have more in common with an ambulance driver in Baghdad than I do in freaking like any animal rescue in California. Like, we just don't do the same job, you know. Like, there's just a lot more. It's just an incredible amount of traumatic cases. There is no preventable care here. People don't get their animals vaccinated. Animals run around on the roads, and so there's a lot of traffic accidents. There's a lot of neglect. There's a lot of abuse. There's a lot of like just really preventable stuff, you know. And to see it repeatedly and like endless trauma. I mean, there are times where I just literally can't leave my gates. You know, I mean, people don't understand, I think, the degree to which compassion fatigue is fatal for people like me, and that we have to be resilient, and it's not really a choice because the animals they do require us to get up every day and do the same damn thing, you know, and they gotta be fed, they gotta go to the vet, they've gotta, you know, they've gotta get their meds, they gotta, you know, the place has to be cleaned, things have to be fixed, you know, there is no real choice for not being resilient. But at the same time, like, we kind of are dead inside, you know. I mean, I think like that is desperately underestimated. I think that we really, like, as an industry in rescue and particularly as vegans, because, you know, somebody had interviewed me recently talking about running a rescue here and how it must be traumatic or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, but as a vegan running a rescue, it is far more traumatic because what we see outside of our gates is not just dogs and cats in pain. We see the cows on a spit. We see the pigs, you know, the suckling pigs on a spit. We see the trucks full of ducks taking them to the market. We see the pigs on the backs of motorbikes, hog-tied and whatever. We see that has preventable suffering and death that the vast majority of people around us don't see as trauma. They see as just like, well, that's my breakfast. You know, so I think to just like to be a vegan sanctuary is a far more difficult prospect than it is to just rescue dogs and cats, because at least with dogs and cats you get the support of the general public. I mean, nobody is going to give you shit for rescuing dogs. You're a effing hero if you rescue a dog. You're a psychopath and you're an extremist if you rescue a pig. Right.
Absolutely right.
So
yeah, absolutely.
That difference is, you know, like, we're very emotionally isolated as a result of the work that we do, and also like physically isolated. I mean, like, for me to interact with other people that also are abolitionist vegans that also have cats and dogs, but pigs and chickens as well, you know, to be able to interact with them, I've got to be able to go to a conference that frankly none of us can afford, you know, and like, we can't just sit around and go get dinner or coffee one really bad day where we really need somebody to talk to. It's very difficult to make friends in this job. I would say that just vegan sanctuary life can be very isolating emotionally. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I have heard, as I told you, a variety of people, And the story for somebody like you is that there is that's added dimension of being, in a developing country. The veterinarian care is not up to task. Not just that, even veganism is not even a conversation. So it's not even a discussion. So I became vegetarian for animals as soon as I came to college in the United States. I was in Algeria. I mean, we don't eat meat that much in Algeria, but still, the whole thing is not even a conversation. If I say over there I'm vegan, it's not even gonna register in people's heads. It's just so alien. And so there is that added layer. And I have to say, it's not simply, I mean, to me, why vegan animal founders, particularly, and people working with them, hold a particular soft spot in my heart, and we have decided to go on this journey to try to engineer the landscape, is that I think of them as frontline soldiers. I don't mean soldiers.
I say the same. Yeah, I would say the same. I say that, like, no matter how much I want to quit and just like go be an accountant in Little Rock, just like run away and have a suburban home and like just deal with the nightmare of like dull life. There are moments where you're just like, why can't I just drive a mid-size SUV and live in some normal, why can't I just be my sister and do nothing and go to Vegas on vacation? You know what I mean? Like, why did I have to be what I am? And I think what it is that you're right, it is sort of a frontline soldier thing in the sense of like, we have to hold the line. We have to be the ones that are the loudest by far, because the voices that are so speciesist are absolutely, they have got the biggest marketing, they got the biggest budgets, they've got the best lawyers. They're the ones that are dictating the entire conversation around animals. The welfareists are the ones that freaking own the entire, like, they own the rescue world, they own even the animal advocacy world. It's welfarism, as opposed to people that are just like, hey, let's straight up end subsidies for animal agriculture and divert it towards a plant-based crop system. Like, let's just be smart and let's look at legal personhood for animals. Let's like, if you want to be all legal about it, if you want to be all like intellectual about it, let's talk about global food security and the fact that we're screwing ourselves by the food that we eat, and it's like, but we are such a tiny voice. We're a tiny, tiny voice, and we have to be like, no matter how much I really struggle with this job and how difficult it is, I have to be, no matter what, I have to be louder than everybody else. And luckily I'm an American, so that makes it a little bit easier, but like, we are a loud people. But I feel like it's so important to kind of counteract the prevailing discourse that completely avoids the 2.8 trillion animal that are being unnecessarily murdered every year for human consumption, not to mention those that are in, entertainment and research and all of that, and clothing. And so it is soldiers on the front line, but eventually the way that we think about it is basically, I like to believe that we eventually will give strength to other people who are similarly minded, but like can't say anything because a lot of their organization are non-vegans, or a lot of their donors are non-vegans. And I mean, like, admittedly, I've created a financial nightmare for myself. I really have. I mean, by being outspoken as an abolitionist vegan and an animal sanctuary in Vietnam has completely financially screwed us. Okay, like, I'm very serious about that. If I would just shut up and talk about the dog meat trade, we'd be rolling in it. We would be absolutely rolling in it. I would be in a Mercedes today, okay? But I can't do that because the animals rely on us. The animals rely on us to be honest and straightforward, and just like they need us to fight for all of them, not just the dogs and kitties. It is a battle we're waging, and it's going to go on for the rest of our lifetimes. We can't get out of this. Yeah.
No. Absolutely. No, but thank you very much for sharing these feelings. And I certainly could see the passion and, the passion and the compassion in your voice. And it's real. it's very, very real. Running a sanctuary, it's very real on all fronts. Not only that you'd have to work out the logistics, sometimes against overwhelming odds. Well, you would have to work against cultural accumulations of 10,000 years. It's because the other side, well, they have the culture on their side. They don't have to argue about anything. That's an assumption. That's a universal assumption of culture. Well, good luck trying to be on the other side and then do it day after day, year after year. So, Kat, could you please walk us through a typical day for you? You wake up, so what time and how do you go through your day?
I wake up, I just say to myself in the morning, survive. That's what I wake up doing. I say, survive, get your coffee, try to manage this, get on with it. So yeah, I get my coffee, but we definitely, like, I've got a chicken at my house. I've got two cats and a dog in my house. And then I come over to the shelter and we've got like 28 cats here. Jeez, we got 28 cats, 2 pigs, 4 chickens. And now we're down to only 4 dogs at the moment, which is great. We're trying to really reduce our number of animals so that we can focus on the veterinary project and do like veterinary training. The only anti-species veterinary clinic probably within Asia, where we would treat all patients, not as food animals, companion animals, wild animals, this differentiation that the veterinary industry loves to create, which is absolutely arbitrary. But we would definitely, that's what we're working towards. But basically, so that we've got to clean, so we've got to feed, all the animals have got to be fed. I've got one on my lap right here. He just decided that he wants to be part of that. He was born here, actually, and never got adopted.
What's his name? Hey!
He is a naughty boy, but I love him very much. I did see him born, and he's an asshole, really. I love him. But anyway, so we feed them, and then we've got to clean the entire shelter, right? So that's a huge part of taking care of animals is like cleaning. Like, you really just got to love cleaning. It's got to be a really big part of your life. And because, like Ricky, for example, he likes to pee on everything. He marks this entire territory because he was born here 9 years ago, and so he thinks the whole place is his. So we do a lot of cleaning, and then we've got to do all the shopping. So there's a lot of supply shopping, and then we've got to order all the things that we can't buy around here, which is a lot because there's just not the supplies that you would get. We don't just get to rock up to PetSmart, and we don't have that ability. When I walk in there, when I go to the United States and I go to like a pet store, I'm in tears. Like, I just think like, oh my God, how much easier would my life be if I just walked into a store and bought the things I needed. So yeah, we do that. And then we nap here. I live in a napping country. Vietnam gets hot, middle of the day, we eat, then we sleep, and then we get up and we do it again. Afternoon shift. And so in the middle, often we have veterinary trips. So we've had 3 this week, I think. Then we've got to do all the social media. Then we've got to do all the fundraising. We've got to answer all the emails. We've got to respond to any rescue calls. We've just got to try to survive it, basically. Like right now I've got to give a dewormer for 28 cats, which is a nightmare because they hate me so much right now. And like none of the cats want to be my friends because I got to shove this stuff down their throat. And then we've got to do recruitment for new staff, and we've got to train the new staff. And then because we don't take volunteers, we only have full-time long-term staff. We found that just is the only thing that works for us. We used to have volunteers coming and going, but it just it's just really disruptive to the work in a country in which we have so many other things that are just not that easy. There's too many other things to be managing that you just can't constantly babysit volunteers. And so yeah, there's a lot of work to be done, but right now we've got to work on things like, I have admin that lives in Athens. She's American, and so she does a lot of the media and the banking and things like that. So I'm trying to get that off my plate so that I can be more present here. But yeah, I mean, it's a busy day, and then of course we got to love on the animals. And Ricky's got his claws in me. I'll see if I can find Julian. Julian is very he's kind of a needy child. He's a 9-year-old, 400-pound pig. And where is he? Choo-choo. Choo-choo, say hi to Besch.
Hi, Gigi. Oh, look at that.
Baby.
Yeah, he's lounging, enjoying his morning. It reminds me of some of the pigs at Animal Place, which is a sanctuary that I volunteer at regularly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, they're amazing.
Yeah.
He's napping, though, and he doesn't like telephones. He's really, like, he's against iPhones and iPads. Like, really
he's an old schooler. He's an old school. Good for him.
He's old school. He hates it. So like he has so many pictures of him because he's like stunning, and got him because when he was a tiny baby. So here's Matthias. He's our talking rooster. There he is.
So that was the rooster that was talking who wants to participate in the show.
Never shuts up. That's him. That's him. Then we got the girls doing dust baths. We got our dust bath area right here.
Oh, so lovely.
It's funny. They look like they've been caught. Like, you know, like I'm like, oh, sorry. I didn't mean to catch you in the bath.
It's just, I mean, this is one of the damages that we do to chicken, you know, in factory farming. We don't allow them to experience and express their natural instincts.
Yeah.
And that the mud bath is exactly that. Exactly. Or dust.
Yeah, I mean, like,
very natural to them.
It's just Matthias, for real. So there's so many things that we try to provide them that, like, I mean, like the cats, they like to be up high, for example. So you've got to have places for them to hide. Everybody's got lots of little hiding places for the cats, right? So they've got all kinds of little beds and all kinds of things to scratch on and boxes, you know. So everybody's got kind of a little area. We've got kittens. We've got 4 kittens right now, and they are, unfortunately, they've had some tummy issues this week, so everybody's been to the vet, but they have tons and tons of toys. This is our nursery. So
lovely.
There's the babies. I know. Hi, guys. Yeah, they're the babies. And then we've got one disabled dog. That's Jack right there. He's our most handsome boy in the whole world, Jackie.
Oh, hi, Jack. That's a German Shepherd. No, German Shepherd.
He's actually a local breed called a Phu Quoc Ridgeback. So it's from an island in the south of Vietnam. Phu Quoc is the name of the island. So he has a Ridgeback, but he was hit by a motorbike about 5 years ago and paralyzed. And so he's kind of he owns us. I mean, he's basically like, he kind of runs the show, and we all know it, and we just kind of dance around him. It's all really about Jackie, and Jackpot's a good boy. Then we've got Maddie down here. Maddie hides under the couch a little bit. I don't know if you can even see her, but she's
I see the paws.
She's a little, there she is. This is my baby wolf. And she's just really shy, and so she was never really adopted. Her mom and dad are brother and sister, so she's a little West Virginia, we'll say.
I see.
I think if you're in America, you know what I'm talking about. And so no offense, West Virginianers, but I'm from Virginia, and so we make fun of them all the time for being like really into incest. So that's just our little Virginia joke. But anyway, so she's absolutely lovely. And then kind of everybody else is out. But yeah, the sanctuary it's a kind of a big room here, and then we have a property outside.
Kat, sorry to interrupt you. Yes. Dominic is asking, can Jackie walk fine after the accident? This is a question from Dominic.
No, he drags himself around, but he lives. So he's super strong, and like he's like the help. Hey Jackie. And he drags himself around. He hates wheelchairs. Hates them. He will take our arm off if we try to put him in a wheelchair. So we take him out, and he goes out and plays in the sand, and he basically barks at frogs, and that's like his whole, like, that's his life. He digs gigantic holes you could put an elephant in, and then he barks at frogs, and so that's his life.
That's so cute.
He's really
barking at frogs. That's so cute.
I roll my eyes just because he's my baby, but he very much owns every part of my day, and he does it for everybody, and we just dance around his needs. But we also, you can't really, if I go over there, I'm going to lose the Wi-Fi, but I can show you. You can see there's a paddock, there's a barn right there, and there's a paddock. And that's where our 13-year-old pig lives. That's Lola, Mistress Lola. She is a beautiful and very grumpy old woman who,
that's so adorable.
very sweet. She is what she is. You know, she's like, you know when people get old, sometimes they're really friendly and nice, and other times they're just kind of bitchy. And she can be both. Kind of depends on the day, and we just do whatever she wants. She's on a lot of pain medication, and because she's got arthritis and whatever, just basically like all of us when we get old.
Right,
But
yeah,
does a great diet. She's living the life as much as she can. You know, it's just unfortunate because we really just don't have the veterinary care for large animals here. So our vets, of course, would eat our pigs if we didn't, you know what I mean? Like that's just the veterinary industry, and they think it's a joke that we have pigs and chickens. And so getting veterinary care for them has been really, really difficult. Yeah. And so we're trying really hard. That's why we want to restart the veterinary program.
Wait. I have an idea.
Yeah.
Okay, you just gave me an idea but this for the future, down the road. You know what we can do? I was thinking about, part of the support that we could provide you, have like a rotating clinic, have clinicians from the West. Yeah. So maybe they go once in a while to you pay for them, you pay for their stays, pay for whatever. So let's say somebody would like to go on vacation, say, okay, we're going to send you there. There is that sanctuary, you help them, and then we provide you with all these things. And so just you gave me an idea that this probably is a workaround.
I mean, the hardest thing about having a veterinary clinic, because I did it for 3 years, and I'm not a veterinarian. I have a degree in international politics and a master's degree in emergency and disaster management. Like, what was I doing running a veterinary clinic in Vietnam? I don't know. But so like I ran this veterinary clinic, and the hardest thing about it is like basically supplies, being able to supply it with the right drugs, and not only that, but like doing it for large animals. What we really want is to be able to offer veterinary care for all species, and I know that's difficult. Even in California, that's difficult. That does exist. There are clinics that can provide a certain amount of veterinary care for different species, including exotics and including large animals, whatever, like a mixed
horses and
But here also we have sea turtles, and we have sea mammals and things like that also need rescue, and we don't have any appropriate veterinary care for them. So it would be really nice if we were to be able to have something like that. Also, primates are another problem that we just don't have veterinary care for, and there's a lot of wildlife trade that involves like stump-tailed macaques. We have 5 different types of macaques here, which is a small monkey that people keep on chains in their gardens and coffee shops and things like that, or keep in cages, and so they get confiscated. It's illegal to keep them, but there's no facility where they can then be rehabilitated and then released, not in central Vietnam. And so there's so many that are confiscated every year, and there's so much going on with the wildlife trade, and like the farmed animals are a huge problem that we really wish we were able to do more with. But then we've got such small properties here. I think that's another thing people don't understand about Vietnam. So people have a tendency to equate Vietnam with other parts of Southeast Asia, like Thailand. Everybody knows Thailand, and Thailand is just a very, very different country in terms of like property. We're a very densely populated country. We have 97 million people, 98 million people in this country, and it's like, a little bigger than California, but it's just a massive population. And so we can't have large properties to have large sanctuaries on, right? So as an American, that's weird for me. I used to live on 400-acre properties and 1,000-acre properties in New Mexico. Like, that's normal for me, and here I am with like 3/4 of an acre, so like
absolutely.
Go ahead.
I mean, Animal Place is 600 acres.
That's insane. I
So,
can't
yeah.
imagine.
Yeah, so it's normal. It's very normal, as you were saying. I mean, and there are older sanctuaries, smaller and larger, but 600. I mean, that's how the size of the sanctuary that they go volunteer at. 600 acres.
Acre here, it's a miracle.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. Completely different concept of space and of land ownership. It's totally different. Well,
I can't buy property, so we'd have to lease property in the long term, and then we'd have to put all of that money down, and then we still wouldn't be guaranteed, like I don't have rights here, right? I still wouldn't be guaranteed that I'd be able to keep that property, right? So we could put down $50,000 on a property for a 10-year lease or something like that, but it doesn't mean they can't take it away from me.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that you are not a citizen, or maybe not even a resident.
I got a
Okay.
I have a residency.
Okay.
We had to have a business license to run the veterinary clinic, and then we just never closed the business license. So that's how I have my residency. But all of our other staff are on tourist visas because we can't offer.
I see. So can you please, so you told us that you do not have volunteers in the sense that, like me, I'm a volunteer at Animal Place. And in fact, I was actually involved with some of the rescue missions, driving animals around from one place to another. And cleaning barns is what I do mostly, actually, and something I enjoy immensely. And so you said that, and that is another type of support and resource that you like there for, because of the context of your sanctuary is very different. How about membership? How about donations? Yeah. How can people support you in that way?
Right. So, I mean, basically the best way to support us is definitely through monthly donations. I would say that that's true for every nonprofit. I'm not speaking specifically of mine. I'm saying monthly donations are a lifesaver. Any accountant will agree with me. And I'm horrible at accounting, but I can tell you, like, being able to be on Patreon has been a big lifesaver for us. So if you're going to donate, it's generally, we obviously would really like major gifts. We very rarely get any donations over $500, and $500 is huge for us. So we don't have any like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. We get maybe 1 or 2 a year. So major gifts would be great, but also so would $20 a month. And being able to share that would be amazing. We'd really like to spend more time putting more content on Patreon, but we just haven't had the staff and we haven't had the resources to be able to maintain that for a while. It is time consuming, I mean, media is a time consuming, as you know.
Of course it is.
So,
no, of course it is.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to Kat Besch, the founder of Vietnam Animal Aid and Rescue in Vietnam, and Kat is sharing with us her amazing journey, very remarkable, unusual journey, and she was just telling us about that. They do not have volunteers at the sanctuary, well, because it doesn't really work as effectively as it for some other sanctuary somewhere else, and she just told us about donations, saying that donations is a lifesaver. And Kat, I just would like to tell you that I would love to become a monthly donor. Starting December, I will be making a monthly donation. I'm going to start small because right now, for the only reason is that right now because all my resources went into the project that I have created.
Absolutely.
I'm a member now in a number of sanctuaries, and I want to be a member in all of them, supporting them in any way I can. But at least with you, I would love to start with a small donation starting December.
That would be great. I mean, that really is a lifesaver, and I think anybody that supports animal rescue should really consider monthly donations, because we do it. Think about how many monthly things that you spend in the United States. You've got your Netflix, you've got your, a whole bunch of different apps. They just come out, and nobody pays attention to those. If somebody puts $10 in or whatever, it's a small thing, but it's big for us. It's small for you, big for us. So absolutely. I would really recommend doing that for whatever sanctuary shelters you support.
Yeah. It's the price of a couple of cups of coffee, mochaccino here in the U.S. So and it is very vital.
No, we don't really have that problem.
Yeah. And it's not only so big. It's not just you literally become a member of a family when you become a member in the sanctuary. It's literally, that's what it is. And then you become part of the story. There are sanctuaries, where you could sponsor a particular animal, or where you could have the love go around. Either way, it doesn't matter. Either way, I think it's incredibly important.
Because we couldn't do any of this without our donors. I think people don't realize how important it is to do this. I mean, this is these are all of us, these are our only jobs. This is all we do, right? I can't imagine having time to do another job.
No.
There is just so much going on. I don't have the opportunity to work off site. I can't be, I have a master's degree. I'm not, incapable of doing other things, but this is all we can do. So I don't have an inheritance. I don't have a trust fund. I don't have investment income coming in. We literally live off individual donations. And it is really important. And businesses as well. If we could have other businesses, and this is another thing that I wanted to bring up, is that if we could have businesses that are vegan businesses that are aligned with us morally and ethically, and that want to support other sanctuaries and things like that, that's a really great way to support us, and to just have even little promotions, or just share our content and be people that have we only have 5,000 people on Instagram. It's quite small for us, having been on Instagram for 10 years, so we really need the help in just sharing that, so other people just know that we exist, that we are the only vegan sanctuary in the entire country of Vietnam, and we really do need other vegans to look out for us.
Absolutely. And this is the reason why we started the vegan. So the Vegan Stay was just in introduction last year to just sort of get things going and building, but now things are going to go to a completely different gear. And so if people are not, so please, our followers, follow Vietnam Aid and vice versa. Please follow our page to get to remain updated. And Kat, together we are going to try to work to re-engineer the landscape so that people like you and the animals they care for, they are so richly deserve to benefit from this vegan revolution that's being created right now. And I think unless we do it this way, we are going to repeat the same cycle, where people like you do all the hard work, change heart, change minds, and then when people become vegan and they start tapping into this vegan economy, bigger companies are going to come, sort of wrap it up and take it away, and then wealth gets concentrated away from the people who actually created it in the first place. That's the sort of the structural imbalance that we wanted to balance. And so please follow both of us, then you will know about our work together in the coming months and years. And yes, please follow on Instagram, please follow on Facebook, please listen to their reels, their messages, read their messages, react in any way you can. Simply reshare it. You never know how seeds are planted. And as Pat said, monthly donations are very, very critical, and I think those are incredibly vital, incredibly grounding, because it's just that when I feel very happy when I see it in my credit card statement that there is sanctioned all the recurring donation, and then but for me, I'm happy following all of them on Instagram and Facebook and see all the amazing work they are doing, and I feel it's incredibly vital. Kat, for people like you, you are re-educating humanity. You are just telling us about Lula the pig. She's 26 years old. Most people do not realize that the pigs that they eat, 6 months old. So she get to see a life.
Yeah, but she is by far the oldest pig in this country. I guarantee that. 100% guarantee she's the oldest pig in this country.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised, because I know that people eat pigs. They go as babies, and there is an incredibly vital component, educational component, that people like Kat can do. And unless we help them and provide them with the support they deserve and they need, well, they would be wearing 3-4 hats, well, actually 10 hats, sometimes 20 a day. And then what are you saying? You were saying that you can get another job besides this. Well, it's a miracle that you can do this job in the first place, because it's not one job.
It's a miracle. Yeah, I think Vietnamese coffee is quite strong. So, yeah, I kind of get through the day, but I guarantee, it can be a struggle.
That would be a great bumper sticker. Vietnamese coffee is strong. Like I would put it.
Don't drink it, or you'll start an animal rescue in Vietnam and just have a whole decade of craziness.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, Kat, what other thoughts you would like to share with us as we wrap up today? What other messages, what other words, ideas, anything that you would like to share with our listeners?
I think mostly I just want to empower people to be the louder voice in the room when it comes to being a vegan. I've never been a quiet person in terms of like keeping my opinions to myself. I was such a rabid meat eater as well before, I think that's the one thing, that's my real point here, is that for 33 years I was such an anti-vegan. For 33 years I was making fun of vegans. For 33 years I was a fox hunter. I worked for the farmers lobby. I was the enemy, and I want people that are vegan advocates to always remember that they are future friends, they haven't seen it yet, and there's always a potential to go from being a fox hunter to being the owner of the only vegan farm sanctuary in the entire history of Vietnam is a big jump, right? Absolutely. And I think you always have to look at everybody as a for the potential that's inside of them, that compassion is not something that I pulled it out of me. I tell you, it was hard to get out. It was hard to finally be like, all right, I'm a vegan and that's it. But once they see it, sometimes they can be the real change maker. So don't ever discount people in your advocacy. And really, to me, I think also don't follow along with the dominant discourse of welfarism and constantly just trying to, applauding people for having cage-free eggs instead of being like, oh gosh, we shouldn't eat things that came out of a chicken's ass because it's insane and we are killing 70 billion chickens every year for no goddamn reason. There are legal ways to be an abolitionist. If people are looking for regulatory issues, there's definitely ways to engage in that in Washington, D.C., and we need you there. We need you there in Washington, D.C. We need you there in London. We need you there in Brussels. We need you speaking up for the animals. If you are somebody who really wants to make change and end the subsidies for animal agriculture so that we can completely shift the food system and so that we all don't starve to death in 20 years. That would be great, and have empty oceans. So yeah, I think that's my main message. Yeah, that was a lot of messages that I just made into one really long run-on sentence. I sound like Trump. That was a lot of one sentence.
No, actually, no, it really is very, very important. There are quite a few things that you said, and as we are wrapping up, I just want to emphasize one thing that you said. You said many, many, many very important things. Not to get into the trap or the mistake and capitulate to our tribalism.
Yeah.
Because we are very tribal fundamentally, and we like to define an us and them. Remember that it's very fluid, and that's why, thankfully, I was them, now we are us. Yeah. But we were them. And that door is open for everybody. As long as somebody breathes and as long as somebody is alive, change is always possible. Redemption is possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Very, very beautifully said, Kat. Thank you so very much. I cannot wait to see all your beautiful work, to join your sanctuary family officially very, very soon. I mean, in this way, in particular, becoming a monthly member. We already have other work that we're doing together through our project. So thank you very much for all that you do. And it really does take a kind of a special person to do what you do day in and day out.
Thank you.
And so thank you for all of that.
And I wish you guys all the luck in the world. I'm really excited about your project, and I can't wait to see how it evolves.
Absolutely. We will keep you updated, of course. And in fact, as I said, the big announcement is coming tonight, which I look forward to sharing with everybody. Yep. Bye, Kat. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.